Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. Today we're continuing with parts 4 to 6, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And without further ado, let's begin the story. With a confident grin, she challenges Demon King, asking if he can truly handle her now that he knows her true power. He is completely baffled, wondering how a genius elemental mage with such immense mana could have possibly slipped under his detection. To which she explains her trick, revealing a glowing ring passed down through the royal family that completely conceals her mana signature. Having answered his question, she coyly asks if he intends to send her back, leaving him momentarily speechless at her audacity, but realizing that returning her now would not only make him a laughingstock, but also prevent him from gathering more demonic energy. Resolving to see this new, complicated plan through, his expression hardens with determination. Just then, a system alert pops up, notifying he that a powerful wave of rage is being directed specifically toward him. The source becomes clear as his demonic energy points surge to an incredible 19,521, confirming that her father's fury is fueling his power. Realizing the king of Hilderan has targeted him, he coldly informs the princess that her true identity doesn't change her predicament and declares to a stunned Ernon that no matter who she is, she remains his hostage, solidifying his decision. The story then shifts focus to the grand and formidable kingdom of Hilderan. An incandescently furious king of Hilderan bellows at his court, demanding they kill the demon king and retrieve his daughter. But his advisors attempt to plate him, urging patience since they haven't yet identified the culprit and have already sent out patrols. Then the king erupts, roaring at his council for their inaction, while his precious daughter remains in a kidnapper's hands. A concerned advisor raises a strange point, noting that the demon king of lust recently kidnapped a prince, not a princess, and elaborates that the demon king of lust was promptly killed by heroes for his actions, making it bizarre that another would repeat such a fatal mistake. In the court, they collectively realize the oddity of a new demon king making such a bold and seemingly suicidal move. The king hand trembles with suppressed rage as he grips the armrest of his golden throne. Through gritted teeth, he concludes that the perpetrator must be a new, unknown demon king who is ignorant of the established rules. Just then, a messenger suddenly rushes in, reporting that they've tracked teleportation magic heading north towards the perilous Urgus Mountains, to which he is utterly shocked by the news, as the Urgus Mountains are known as one of the most dangerous and remote locations on the continent. Now story shifts to Burge's tower amidst the desolate snow-covered peaks of the Urgus Mountains. And inside the tower, a worried Gordon informs him of the approaching Hilderan army, questioning if he can handle such a force. To which he responds, not with words, but with a slight confident smirk, and reassures his subordinate, stating that the kingdom of Hilderan won't be able to reach their location. Meanwhile, in the Hilderan war room, the king and his generals face the geographical reality. They cannot march their army across the entire continent to its northern edge. Our guy explains his brilliant strategy to him. The neutral nations in between will never allow an army passage, forcing Hilderan to rely on the Hero Guild instead. Faced with no other option, the dejected king of Hilderan concedes and gives the order to contact the Hero Guild for the rescue mission. The imposing stark white tower of the Hero Guild is shown, a beacon for mercenaries and adventurers across the land. Inside, heroes gather around the quest board, buzzing about the shocking news of Princess Hilderan's kidnapping and the treacherous destination. After that, they immediately balk at the quest, dismissing it as a suicide mission into a land of hellish monsters that isn't worth any amount of money. Our guy smugly reveals this was his intention all along, knowing the profit-driven Hero Guild would refuse such a dangerous job, making his remote base the perfect fortress. To which he is once again astounded by his master's foresight, realizing Burge possesses an uncanny, deep knowledge of aura. The thought crosses his mind that his master's incredible knowledge and confidence make it seem as though he has experienced all of this before. The king of Hilderan is apoplectic, screaming in frustration that not a single so-called hero is willing to accept the quest to save his daughter, and laments the state of the world, recognizing that the heroes of Aryan are a picky, profit-driven bunch, far from the noble champions he needs. Our guy calmly assesses his resources, knowing it will take a significant amount of time for a hero party to even be formed, let alone reach his remote tower. However, he acknowledges his current reserve of demonic energy is nowhere near enough to fend off a full-scale hero assault. Then he recalls the overwhelming fear from his past life, remembering all too well the terrifying power of a united army of heroes. With a new plan forming, he commands Gordon to contact the Demon King Draxon, intending to sell his demonic energy for human money, to which he completely loses his composure, screaming in absolute, and reminds his master that demonic energy is the divine currency that allows them to summon monsters and transcend their limits, not something to be traded for mortal coin. But our guy calmly explains that while his demonic energy is insufficient to stop the heroes directly, human money provides an alternative path to victory. And his journey takes him to the fortress city of Holton Work, a human settlement located near the base of the Urgus Mountains. Disguised in a dark cloak, he approaches the city gates, his presence immediately drawing the attention of the guards, to which they challenge the suspicious traveler, questioning his sanity for heading towards the Urgus Mountains alone. But he effortlessly bypasses their suspicion by flicking a single gold coin. Having easily bribed his way into the city, he turns his attention to his next objective and decides his first step within the bustling city is to find a guide who knows the local area and its secrets. His search leads him to the Scarlet Hawk Mercenary Guild, where he overhears a member complaining that they should leave their cushy post soon. But the mercenary captain dismisses the idea, content to let the local soldiers handle the monsters while they reap the rewards, and scoffs at the rumor of a new demon king in the mountains, claiming it's fake news since all demon kings know to build their towers in easily accessible locations. Another mercenary chimes in, finding it ridiculous that a demon king would travel across the entire continent just to kidnap one princess. The conversation turns to the Hero Guild with one man pointing out that even they turned down the high-paying job after learning the destination. After that, the captain dismisses this as a negotiation tactic, convinced the greedy heroes are just holding out to milk more money from the desperate king. To which the group laughs heartily, all in agreement about the Hero Guild's infamous greed. Unseen by the laughing mercenaries, Burge appears behind the captain and slowly says, "I see. So that's what's up." To which the captain jumps in fright and collapses over the ground, then screams he scare him and asks who is he. With a sinister smile, our guy declares that their knowledge makes them perfect candidates for guides, though he only requires one. Outraged at the intruder's audacity, they draw their blades and charge, vowing he won't get out of there. Just then, our guy moves with inhuman speed, effortlessly knocking out all of the charging mercenaries with a flurry of precise, powerful blows. They all are sent flying in every direction, collapsing onto the ground. He becomes a whirlwind of dark cloth and violence, dodging and striking with deadly efficiency. Suddenly, a large brawler leaps before him, bringing wooden hammer down towards the unmoving Burge. To the brawler's shock, he stops the massive attack with a single hand, and the mercenary stares in pure terror as his eyes glow with demonic power, a cruel grin spreading across his face. More mercenaries raise their bows, aiming at him from the inn's upper vantage point, ready to strike. But he strikes with such force through her fist that the brawler is sent flying toward them, debris scattering across the room in a chaotic display of power. The terrified mercenary captain can only stammer the word monster as he witnesses the complete decimation of his guild. The violent sounds of the beatdown echo outside the tavern, punctuated by crashes and shouts. Onlookers casually remark on the fight, unimpressed and wondering if the rowdy mercenaries ever get tired of brawling. In the aftermath, the guild hall is a wreck, littered with the unconscious bodies of the mercenaries, leaving only Burge and the captain. Our guy looms over his terrified new guide, offering to spare his life in exchange for answers, an offer the captain readily accepts. Then our guy reveals his true reason for coming to the city, asking where is the slave market, to which Captain leads him city's illicit slave trade. And inside he displays cages of human slaves, asking if they are to Burge's liking. Unimpressed, he gives a heavy pouch of gold and asks to see their more exotic wares. Motivated by the immense payment, Captain's face contorts into a greedy grin as he eagerly agrees to show him the rare goods. Observing his avarice, our guy internally reflects that the human desire for money is no different from a demon's lust for demonic energy. Then he follows him down a dark staircase into the hidden depths of the slave market. The guy gestures him forward, leading him into the section where the most valuable slaves are kept. In a flashback, our guy explains his plan to Gordon to use human money to purchase otherworldly species that can serve his cause. Just then, he sets his sights on a caged elf. Knowing the reputation for integrity would make them an ideal pawn in his grand scheme, his full strategy is revealed. He will purchase this elf and use him as a spy to see out chaos and distrust within the hero's ranks. Meanwhile, back in Hilderin, the renowned hero Hill and Cargill arrives to answer the king's desperate summons. Kneeling before the throne, the hero makes a solemn vow to rescue the princess and return with the demon king's head. With unwavering resolve, he accepts the perilous quest, declaring he will succeed in the name of justice. He lays out his new strategy: acquire an elf slave to use as a spy, and sow chaos amongst the heroes. It should be very effective since their species is known for being innocent. Then he confidently declares his intention to buy the elf, casually volunteering the mercenary captain to foot the bill. A flash of demonic intimidation is all it takes for the captain to nervously agree, insisting it's only natural that he pays. Wanting a private word with his new acquisition, he dismisses the others. But when owner insists, he says if anything does happen, then the mercenary captain will pay for it, to which he can only grimace in silent, expensive displeasure as he is forced to accept the terms. Alone with the caged elf, he approaches to begin his negotiation. Lamenting the fall of a noble elf to slavery, he uses his demonic power to release the slave's restraints. The elf immediately recognizes the demonic energy and aggressively questions why a demon would have any business with him. Then Burge makes his pitch, offering a tempting opportunity, a chance to get revenge on the humans who enslaved him. While the offer is tempting, he remains wary, stating that he has no reason to trust a demon. To build trust, our guy proposes a contract: 50 years of loyalty in exchange for guaranteed safety and eventual freedom, and points out that for a long-lived elf, 50 years of service is a small price to pay for escaping his current humiliation. To which the elf counters by reminding him of the fundamental conflict between their kinds as demons seek to destroy the sacred world tree that elves serve. With this irreconcilable difference in mind, he demands to know how he could ever place his trust in a natural enemy. The elf's sharp logic hits a nerve as he silently admits it's a very good question. Cornered by logic, he decides on a different, more binding approach. Just then, he summons the sacred demon king's standards, making a solemn vow to uphold his end of the bargain and, crucially, to never harm the world tree. Stunned by this ultimate gesture of sincerity, the elf listens as he demands a vow in return, a pledge of allegiance on the world tree for the next 50 years. The elf can't help but crack a smile, admitting he is a strange demon and seeming convinced by his unprecedented offer. He introduces himself as Grand Anna of the Maple Tribe and declares that he will fulfill his vow only once he beholds the Demon King who sent him here. With a confident smirk, Burge reveals his true identity, to which Granada erupts in laughter, dismissing the claim as ridiculous since Demon Kings are known to grow weaker the farther they are from their towers, and mockingly doubles down, promising to serve for a full century if he can prove his outrageous claim. In an instant, they are transported from the slave market to the 5th floor of Burge's tower. Seated upon his throne, he smugly reminds the flabbergasted Granada of their new 100 red-year contract, to which a shock quickly turns to outrage as he realizes the tower is practically empty, screaming that he's been scammed. He also rants that there's nothing on the lower levels all the way up to the third floor and the out-of-place forest on the fourth, demanding to know where the monsters and traps are. Convinced this sloppy setup will be torn apart by heroes in less than a year, he declares that he refuses to work there. But Burge silences the protest with a crushing wave of demonic pressure, reminding him of their unbreakable contract. Feeling the raw, overwhelming power firsthand, he is forced to accept the terrifying truth. Burge really is a demon king. He then recalls their journey through the Urgest Mountains, realizing that not a single monster dared to attack them. And the truth dawned on him. The terrifying beasts of the mountains weren't just avoiding a fight. They were showing deference to a superior power. With his perspective completely shifted, he kneels and formally vows his loyalty on the great name of the World Tree for the next 100 years. Now, a loyal subordinate, Granada eagerly awaits his first mission, certain he'll play a key part in his grand evil plan. However, Burge's first command is far from grand. He simply asks him to prepare a meal, to which he is left utterly bewildered by the mundane request. Instead of plotting world domination, he finds himself relegated to kitchen duty, wondering where the evil scheming is. His confusion deepens when Princess Aryan cheerfully joins him in the kitchen, offering to help with the cooking. The surreal scene culminates in the fifth-floor dining room, where the Demon King sits down for a civilized meal with his new spy and his royal hostage. But Granada tentatively asks his new master about the identity of the blonde woman at the table, and he nonchalantly confirms that their dinner guest is none other than Princess Aryan. The revelation sends him into a panic, screaming that kidnapping the crown princess with zero defenses is a suicidal move. To which our guy calmly explains that this dire situation is precisely why he acquired him before telling him to stop worrying and eat his food. As he compliments the food and Aryan proudly takes some credit, Granada's mind short-circuits, completely unable to process the bizarre situation. Later on the lush fourth floor, our guy clarifies that this is not a battleground. If the heroes ever make it this far, the fight is already lost. Then reveals Granada's true mission. He won't be a guard, but a spy sent to disrupt the human world, and insists on testing his new subordinate skills, challenging Granada to a duel despite his protests about fighting a demon king in his own tower. To even the odds, he offers a handicap. He'll fight one-handed without demonic energy. And if Granada wins, his contract will be cut in half. The new terms are too good to refuse, and he eagerly accepts the challenge, promising to go all out. Wasting no time, he launches himself at the Demon King and unleashes a rapid barrage of strikes, testing Bear's defenses. But Bear easily parries the blows, impressed that Granada's movements are still so sharp, and notes his distinctively elven fighting style. Just then, Granada gloats that he's no average elf, and that fighting him in a forest, even an artificial one, was a grave mistake. He capitalizes on the environment, summoning vines to ensnare the Demon King's legs. And believing he has an opening, he channels his power into a final punch, ready to claim his prize. But our guy smirks, satisfied with the display of power. But his fight is far from over. In a flash, he reveals his true demonic form, reminding him just who he's dealing with, and assures him he'll stick to the rules, but warns that he'll have to carefully control his immense physical strength to avoid accidentally killing him. He can only stammer in terror, realizing the monumental gap in their power, and cries out, "Wait!" But it's already too late. The resulting impact is so powerful it sends shock waves through the entire tower. Back in the city of Horton Walk, our guy returns to the headquarters of the Scarlet Hawk mercenaries, and the mercenary captain greets his intimidating new employer with a mixture of enthusiasm and pure terror. Just then, our guy offers to hire the guild for a year while the battered mercenaries grumble about their captain's sycophantic behavior. He then drops an enormous sack of gold on the table as a deposit, stunning the entire guild into silence. After that, the mercenaries' loyalty is immediately bought, though their captain privately considers that he might need a whole new squad. Burge then issues his first order. A new member will be joining their team to act as his proxy. The new member is revealed to be a thoroughly beaten-up Granada, who sullenly introduces himself. The equally bruised mercenaries stare blankly at their new elven teammate. A strange camaraderie forms as the group of battered warriors welcomes their equally pummeled new member. Our guy observes his new pawns, noting that while they may not be elite, their experience and easily manipulated nature make them perfect for his plans. His thoughts then shift to the real threat, identifying hero Helen Cargill as the only one likely to take on the quest to rescue Princess Ernon. With his team assembled, he issues their very first mission and commands them to gather all possible information on Helen, the hero hire by the Hilduran Kingdom. Motivated by gold and fear, mercenaries enthusiastically accept their new assignment. With his elf spy handling the hero, he turns his attention to his next objective from the snowy solitude of his tower. Realizing he's weakened after selling his demonic energy, he declares that it's time for him to power up. Having sold all his demonic energy points for cash, he can no longer rely on the usual methods to enhance his tower or his own strength. His only option is to find a spirit blossom, a rare crystal of pure mana that grants an immense power boost when consumed. These blossoms are found deep in the monster-infested Urgus Mountains, a land virtually untouched by humanity, where mana has condensed for ages, and the harsh, mana environment has made the mountains a veritable treasure trove of these potent natural resources. He informs his aide, Gordon, of his plan to venture out and hunt for the spirit blossoms himself. A worried Gordon protests, warning his master that searching unprepared is incredibly risky and that the local monsters will surely attack. He dismisses the monster threat, but consts that finding the blossoms will be difficult unless, he slightly adds, one has an excellent mana detector. As if on cue, their conversation is interrupted by a knock at the throne room door. And Princess Ernon Hilduran, accompanied by a small spirit, cautiously peeks inside to ask if they are busy. An idea instantly sparks in Beer's mind, much to the confusion of his loyal subordinate. Moments later, a very enthusiastic Princess Ernon is thrilled to be outside the tower, ready for an adventure with him, and excitedly reminds him of his promise to let her redecorate the 4th floor as she pleases. He coolly agrees to her terms, provided she successfully locates the spirit blossoms, all while wondering just how far she'll take her bizarre interior design project, and internally scoffs at the sheer absurdity of a princess wanting to decorate a demon king's tower in the first place. The princess is simply overjoyed at the prospect of leaving the tower, exclaiming how glad she is that she came to check on him. She peers at him curiously, thinking what he plans to do next. But wasting no time, he swoops up the unprepared princess, unfurls his demonic wings, and tells her to hold on tight. With a powerful gust, the Demon King rockets them both into the sky, leaving the tower far below. As they soar through the air, she opens her eyes to the world outside her prison for the first time. Her eyes widen in pure awe, realizing she hadn't noticed how beautiful the world was on the dark day she was kidnapped. Flying high above the vast mountain range, the sheltered princess is struck by the sheer scale of the world she's never been allowed to see. Then she reflects on her monotonous royal life of endless training and studying, a gilded cage she thought she'd never escape. Filled with a sense of wonder, she tells him she's likely the first person to ever fly over these mountains, an achievement he immediately dismisses. Getting a bit too familiar, she insists he call her by her name, Ern, since they'll be seeing a lot of each other. Annoyed by her forwardness, he quickly reminds her of her place as his captive, threatening her with the underground prison before ordering her to find the blossoms. Chastened but obedient, she sends one of her spirits speeding off on its mission. As the spirit zips away into the distance, she dutifully tells it to come back safely. Just then, he privately admits that while her spirits may not be fast, they'll certainly be more effective at finding the blossoms than he or Gordon would be. To his complete surprise, she almost instantly shouts that her spirits have already located a blossom. Below them, a large crystalline flower of pure ice attribute. Mana glows brightly in the snow. However, their prize is already being guarded by a large horde of territorial Peel orcs who got there first. He descends and addresses the brutes, claiming his authority as a demon king and ordering the demonic descendants to obey him, and commands them to leave the spirit blossom untouched and vacate the area immediately. The Peel orcs flatly refuse, declaring that they don't listen to demons and would rather see him die. A dark grin spreads across his face as he laughs, conceding that Gordon was right about monsters, and he summons his demonic power, calling himself foolish for even trying to reason with them. Then declares his simple solution. He will burn them all to ashes. Unintimidated, the horde roars and charges forward, determined to kill him and protect their prize, to which he calmly prepares a devastating blast of demonic energy to meet their assault heat-in and unleashes a massive wave of pure destructive power that engulfs the charging orcs in an instant. The overwhelming attack manifests as a terrifying M of dark energy, consuming everything in its path. The powerful Peel orcs are torn apart, their bodies disintegrating within the violent storm of magic. A few clever of them try to bypass the main attack and target the weak one, Princess Ernon. Suddenly, he notices that she is in danger, and at high speed, demonic energy surges forth to strike down the remaining orcs, consuming them and saving the princess. After that, she left speechless, realizing that the Pole orcs, known for taking down scores of foes, couldn't even get close to them. Standing amidst the swirling remnants of his magic, he proves the absolute gap in their power. In that moment, she witnesses the terrifying and overwhelming might that truly defines the power of the Demon King. In the aftermath, the battlefield is eerily silent, littered with the frozen, shattered remains of the entire ORD. She kneels before the beautiful hyacinth blossom, marveling at its pure water and ice attribute mana. But Beer playfully warns the mesmerized princess not to get any ideas about keeping it for herself. He then offers her a deal. If she finds more blossoms, she can have one. A simple incentive he notes works well on humans. Unfortunately, despite an exhausted Ernon trying her best, they fail to find a second patch of blossoms and head back to the tower. They return to the imposing solitude of Burge's tower in the Urgus Mountains. Back inside, he examines his prize, admitting that while kidnapping the crown princess might have been a mistake, it was a surprisingly useful one. Then he sees the exhausted princess sleeping soundly, protected by her spirits, and realizes she may be far more useful than he initially thought. Later, Gordon reports that their spy, Granada, has made contact much sooner than our guy had anticipated and reports that hero Hillencargel and 32 other heroes have left the capital. But they are not heading towards the mountains. Instead, they are following the classic hero's journey, forming a party and leveling up by completing quests for villagers along the way. After that, Gordon, ever the stickler for tradition, proudly presents several standard issue plans for interfering with the hero's journey. He doesn't even bother reading them, instantly dismissing all of his carefully prepared strategies and leaving his aide flabbergasted. With a villainous grin, he announces a radical new approach. They will not send any monsters or interfere with the hero's journey at all, and explains that such half-baked interruptions only make heroes stronger, and orders him to tell Granada to join the hero's party and build their trust. But Gordon grows concerned that their tower is too weak to stop the heroes. But he assures him he has a plan to reinforce it. His unconventional solution for reinforcing the tower is to recruit a dwarf, to which Gordon completely loses his composure, screaming that bringing a dwarf into their tower alongside a human and a high elf will make them a laughingstock. A single power-infused glare from him enough to silence his subordinate's panicked outburst. And he clarifies that he doesn't want just any dwarf. He needs dwarven magical tools to properly fortify his tower. Just then, he paints a vivid picture for him. Heroes expecting weak monsters on the first floor, as per the standards, will instead be greeted by dozens of magic cannons. The brilliance of the surprise attack dawn on Gordon, who realizes the heroes would be completely unprepared for such an unorthodox defense. However, The idea is so radically different from the Demon King standards that his traditionalist brain begins to short-circuit. Suddenly, he realizes that the Demon King has flown away in the blink of an eye so fast that he doesn't even have time to react. As he flies off to enact his plan, the only thing Gordon can do is scream in horror at the prospect of yet another abduction. His destination is Wolfner, the legendary underground city of the dwarves. Deep within the city, a master craftsman is hard at work in his forge. This is Logan Friedrich, the best dwarfen blacksmith in the world, and he's just become the next target on a rogue Demon King's kidnapping list.